All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever wondered how a fictional world goes from being, just a little spark of an idea to this huge, living, breathing universe? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that whole process. We're using the amazing manga world of Arcana as our guide to see exactly how lore gets forged, how it gets refined, and how it becomes official. I mean, just listen to that description. That one line from the manga's blurb just perfectly nails the vibe of Arcana, doesn't it? It's this incredible mix of ancient mysticism and gritty cyberpunk. And it's that contrast that makes it so cool. But here's the thing. That kind of detail, that atmosphere, it doesn't just happen. It's built piece by deliberate piece. And yeah, that's the big question for today, isn't it? How does a world like this actually get made? Because it's so much more than just drawing a few maps or coming up with some cool names. It's about building an entire culture, forging relationships, and defining the very soul of the story. So let's dig in. Okay, so before we can see how the sausage is made, we kind of need to know the ingredients, right? We have to understand the foundation of this world. So let's start with the absolute core concepts that make Arcana tick.
First up is the name of the series itself, Kiara. And let me tell you, this is not just some random cool-sounding fantasy word. It's a whole philosophy. It tells you right from the jump that this story is about more than just action. It's about destiny, it's about growth, it's about the struggle of the soul. It's the path every single character is on.
And who is walking that path? Well, that would be the members of House Turok Hervez. Now pay attention to those words used to describe them: prestige, faith, and artistry. That little trio of words tells you so much. They're not just some random rich family, they're the cultural and spiritual bedrock of their society. And that right there, that implies a world of tradition, a mountain of expectations, and, oh yeah, a whole lot of drama.
Okay, so we've got the big picture. Now, let's zoom in. Let's get our hands dirty and look at a real case study of this world-building process in action. We're going to dive deep into the incredibly complex relationship between two central characters, the young Jaru and the powerful coastal witch, Karivena.
And this is absolutely crucial to understand. Building a world or even just a relationship inside of it is all about refinement. It's a process. An idea might start one way, but as the world around it gets richer and deeper, that original idea has to change. It has to evolve to fit. And what we're about to see is the perfect example of that transformation. So let's start at the beginning with the very first version of their story. The initial spark for the bond between Jaru and Karivena. It was rooted in something very raw and very, very human. So the original concept was pretty direct. It was a classic story of a young man's intense crush. We're talking sensual fantasies, passionate moments. There was even a disapproving husband in the mix to stir the pot. It's definitely dramatic, right? But the creator had to ask a tough question. Did this kind of straightforward, scandalous romance really fit the deeper, more mystical soul of Arcana? And the answer to that question led to a total recasting of their relationship. Now, this wasn't about erasing the intensity of their bond. No way. It was about transforming it, elevating it into something that really clicked with the world's central theme of Kiara, that soul path we talked about. So let's see what that looked like. I mean, wow. You can feel the shift immediately, just in the language. The entire focus pivots away from earthly desire and toward this almost spiritual devotion. It becomes poetic, it becomes ritualistic. He's not just checking her out anymore, he's lifting his eyes to her moonlit hands. That's a total 180 in perspective. And look at how every single piece of their bond got transformed. She's not just an object of a crush anymore. She's his Purozelo, his guiding star. The physical stuff becomes ritual affection, like secret blessings with oil and chants. And that whole scandalous situation, it becomes a lineage of care. The intensity is still there, 100%, but now it's sacred. And when you put them side by side like this, it just makes perfect sense. On the left, you've got that raw, passionate first draft. And on the right, you have the final, refined, mystical lore. You can literally trace the line from one idea to the next. The crush evolves into devotion, sensual fantasies become sacred rituals, and a potential scandal is transformed into a beautiful song of care. And right here, this is the why behind it all, straight from the creator. The point was never to weaken the bond. It was to deepen it. It was to take all that fiery intensity from the first draft and channel it into something that felt ancient, symbolic, and completely at home in the unique world of Arcana.
So a great idea gets polished into something even better. Awesome. But how does that idea stop being just, a note in a doc somewhere and become an actual unbreakable rule of the universe? How does it become canon? Let's check out how another character, Peppy, is officially woven into the fabric of the world.
Okay, so first, we get a brand new piece of world lore. We get this concept of the Nakyari, or the flow-voiced. This isn't just a quirky personality trait. No, this is a formally defined soul type with a very specific and very important role in their society. Now, let's see how this gets applied to make a character's place in the world official. And there it is. This is where the lore becomes law. This looks like a page straight out of the family's official records, right? This is codification in action. Peppy isn't just some cousin anymore. She is fully recognized. Her ceremonial role is officially elevated, and her name is literally carved into the clan chant wheel. She now has a permanent, unchangeable place in this family's history. It's official.
And that official status, it has real-world consequences. It translates directly into actual duties. Her voice is now a required part of temple services. She has to carry a specific sigil during festivals. Even her birthday is tracked on multiple calendars for rituals. The world itself now has to operate around her official role. It has bureaucracy, it has ceremony, and that's what makes it feel so incredibly real.
This one sentence, this right here, perfectly sums up the entire journey we just went on. The raw idea of Jeru and Caravanna's bond was transformed into a beautiful poem. That poetic idea of a secret role was then codified into law for a character like Peppy. And finally, that law creates the real-world ritual that she has to perform. Idea to poem to law to ritual. That, my friends, is the anatomy of world building.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. What we've seen today is that the whole creative process isn't really about nailing it on the first try. It's about the deliberate, thoughtful choices you make to shape an idea into a story that truly serves the world it lives in. And it's a great reminder that sometimes the most powerful story isn't the first one that pops into your head, but the one that's been carefully, lovingly, and poetically recast.